right. Good morning.
Okay.
Good evening for you in France.
Good afternoon. Yes. Good morning for you.
Thank you for joining me. I've actually wanted to do this interview with you for 2 years, and finally here we are today. And we're to talk about your company, Constructions-3D, and the work you're doing to automate construction in France.
Thank you. Yes. I was also waiting for this interview as well.
So can you start off, I guess, for people unfamiliar with your company, give an introduction?
Sure. Yeah, Constructions-3D is a spin-off from my first company called Machines-3D, where we are distributing 3D printers and 3D scanners in France and French-speaking areas. And before that, I was into civil engineering in big companies in France for 8 years. And so, yeah, I tried to reconcile my two business to make Constructions-3D live with three other crazy guy. And yeah, this team now is growing very fast, and we distribute the machine that we build here in the factory. So great that you catch us and that you find some interest talking about it. We do believe there is a lot of room for improvement, and we are very open to discussion with experts like you and experts like the one you're interviewing all day. So we keep on listening your podcast, and yeah, there are great stuff going on everywhere, and we want to be part of this. Yes, sure.
Yeah, I appreciate the rhetoric you bring up in terms of the need for improvement. It's an industry of innovation, and so it's constantly improving in all kinds of ways. Maybe that's something that we can talk about. I don't like to call myself an expert because even though I've seen some of these printers, I've operated one, I've seen a lot of them operate, but there's no one part of the printing, the material, the hardware, the software that I'm an expert in. There's so many people better than me at all that stuff. So it's very hard for me to say expert, but in terms of maybe looking at different companies, if you like really make it specific, there's something I'm good at, I guess. But your system is super unique compared to the other construction printers. It doesn't fit into the robotic arm category, and it doesn't fit into the gantry category. So how do you define it?
Well, the idea was to make things simple for the construction world. I come from this space, and I know that computer is not very much something people in construction like very much, at least on the field. And so we want to reconcile the building information modeling, which creates 3D data, to the real world. So that is 3D printing. And so we tried to put the machine that would be reliable, that would be easy to use, that would be strong enough to withstand the climate change, the rain, the wind. And so we made it very different from others indeed. We made this insect-like machine or spider-like machine that maybe we can show you your people following you. We have videos to show, and this machine is like a human arm, and that's really how we tried to make it. So with 5 axes, like your own hand, it's 1 and then 2 and then 3 and then 4 and 5. So this is exactly like the human arm. So we are targeting to have this machine packed in a container so it can be shipped worldwide. So it's easy to unpack and pack again, so you can move from site to site. So this is really our key target at the start, and I believe we very much succeeded in that aspect. So this machine was a bit longer to develop compared to gantry system, because we needed to make our own slicer, our own software together with the machine. And now that it's working, and it's quite showing a lot of advantages compared to other technology. But we are very, very curious. I mean, we are in an early market, and we still have many things to learn from each other. So we can bring this portability, easy of use that most of the machine don't have, and we are happy to learn from others as well.
Yeah, I see you have 3 printers listed on your website: the Maxi printer, which we just talked about, the mini printer EDU, the mini printer Pro. A lot of the other companies I talked to have said that the universities and people looking to do research with materials just want a smaller system.
Correct.
Is that why you offer those?
Yes, exactly correct. The Maxi printer was not being sold for like 6 years before we started selling it. It's just finished in terms of development. So we had a long journey on these products, and to survive, we found out that our little testing device, which was the mini printer Edu, was interesting for schools. And yet our region and France was a big customer for us, and triggered maybe more than 20 units of mini edu to be brought to high school and secondary degrees. So people will learn how to use the machine, how to use the slicer, the software, the ink quality, and what it needs to print smaller parts, and to bring them forward in the future to be able to use our bigger machines.
Yeah, I mean, that's terrific for so many reasons. It gives you a way to fund your company to do the R&D on the larger printer. It gives a talent pool so that the students in the future will be employees that are good at these skills. So when did you put the Maxi printer on sale?
Well, it was always on sale, waiting for crazy people to buy it, and it happened that we sold 3 machines in 3 different cases lately, and now it's booming like crazy. So we are forced to push the production, and it's just in line with our plans, because this factory at my back is just ours for 1 year now, and we are now able to products. So I don't know if we can catch this, but there are a few machines back there, the green ones. So they are being printed. They are not being printed, they are being built. Sorry, but we print some part of it.
Maybe that's a foreshadowing for the future where the printers are being printed.
Yeah, sure. But we do print a lot of spare parts from the machines ourselves, because we come from there. And each time we sell a Maxi printer, we also give smaller printers to the customers, so they can print better parts than the one that we even conceive. And if they can be nice enough to share what they have been developing. It's not really open source, but we try to do open source with our customers.
Within the community.
Within our community, correct.
Yeah, that's excellent. I think it's good that you had the 6 years with the system yourself to develop it. I'm sure there were lots of things you worked out and improved in that time that now your customers are benefiting from. Some companies got a printer going and immediately sold them, and now some of the customers are having a pretty hard time.
Yes, we hear about that, but we don't want to go too fast. We are like in French we say a family company, but it's really we're not looking to go faster than everybody. We're not raising funds. We don't need more funds. We are able to grow, and now we believe that our solution is one of the best available on the market, that it's solid enough to showcase the technology in a not deceptive way. Of course, it's expensive. Of course, you have to be not the kind of guy who wants to make a free house tomorrow. You have to be ready to face problems. But it's a good fit for people who wants to include this technology within their range of constructions techniques. And yeah, what I usually use is the Tesla model as a showcase, but it's like our Model X today, so it's quite expensive. It's helping funding the Model 3 of the future, or the Model S. So really, we aim for a house for everybody thanks to our techniques. We know it's not possible today, but the way is to create more knowledge, more sharing of the technology like you do, and also develop local ink, so to make the cost of printed buildings cheaper.
Yeah.
So yeah. Tu peux ramener le morceau d'encre qui est là-bas.
I saw on your website you had 3 values listed, kind of surmising a lot of the things you mentioned: robustness, pragmatism, ease of use. Those are all strong construction values. Is your system as robust now as you'd like it to be?
Yes, we will experiment Dubai sooner than what we expected, but for the European climate, we are very happy to have printed the first building in France in concrete, and now we have printed the third as well, and we are printing a tower this summer. Next week, we start with the first walls next week for a building of 11.5-meter height. So this is the tower. And thanks to our own case, we can now be confident enough to give it to other people and make them do their own case and learn by doing. For the Dubai, the temperature is quite different, so we have those extreme case to face still.
Yeah.
And same for the extreme lower temperature, like in Canada or things like this. But we have people now starting to try our machine. Let's say in a year or so, we will know.
Yeah, Dubai seems to pull in every printing company to do projects there. It's incredible. They have a huge initiative. I'm looking at your website now, La Citadelle de Savoir-Faire. I probably butchered that pronunciation, but
it's a perfect French you have.
So what's that project? Is that looks like a pretty large print potentially?
This is, I believe, the biggest world projects in 3D printing, where we got the permit last year and a half.
Really?
We have 5,000 square meter of buildings, and half of it is printed. So
1,000 square meters.
Yeah, this is the factory where I'm in, and it's part of the citadel. It's 1 hectare, 0.1. So this is the land, and now we have printed the pavilion and the tower, and the accueil, so the welcoming building, and we are printing the tower, and the incubators will follow soon. So I just can't wait to show you this in real life. I mean. Next time you pass through Europe, you're most welcome to visit and to show this to your auditors.
Yeah, I plan on going back to Europe around spring of 2023 and spending 6 months in Europe, trying to visit all the companies there while I'm in Europe, and then I'll come back to America and alternate every year, I think. But we'll see. That print, the welcoming room, is that the same building? That's the Citadel building?
Yes, yes. Maybe if I show you the video, I can share.
Yeah, I think you can share screen.
Okay,
I believe I set it up that way. I don't know.
We'll share the video of the whole project, so you can, yes. Wait. So. Sorry for technology.
Yeah, I can even use those videos and make a shorter, like 8-minute video. A lot of people don't have the attention span for a 2-hour podcast or 1-hour podcast. So the shorter videos are good for modern attention spans.
Can you see this?
Yeah, it's very nice.
So basically, the circular building is the pavilion, was printed 2019. So this was the first building in France printed with the concrete ink that we use. And it was a challenge for us. Then we did this factory where I'm in, and the welcoming building at the entrance. And now we are working on this tower with the bridge. So this is for still in a year or two. This is the dungeon, and the whole projects really will take still like 3 years to complete. But we already have all the administrative and regulations covered for this. So this is the whole citadel. So half of this is done, but let's say it's the easiest half. Now the printed parts are only on, all the rest that's left over is to be printed.
Wow, so it's all surrounding the initial 2019 print.
Exactly.
That's so cool.
Well, we didn't want to lose a glimpse of it. Yeah, but we do it again.
What will the space be? Who will live there or be there?
This is for my company's Machine 3D, Constructions-3D. We also have Com3D, which is a marketing web agency. And we also integrate new companies and lots of startups around our technology of 3D printing. So we still need a lot of space for all these initiatives. We innovate quite a lot around 3D printing, and some of our employee wants to create companies, and then we also have partners that wants to join us. So this is like citadelle de savoir-faire means know how to do a castle for a protective castle for the knowledge and the way to combine the digital and the real. So
Very nice. Do you work closely with universities?
exactly, yes. Especially for the mixture material. So that's what I wanted to show you. So this is our latest ink that we developed with the school in Douai, very nearby. And this is made of clay, 50%, and limestone, like from the metal industry. So like a waste from the metal industry, 20%, and 30% only of cement and sand. And our sand, we use the sand that is not being used in the construction industry, so sand that nobody wants. So we aim to build a factory for this for next year. We already are working on the site because we want to be quite covered with the formulas. We work with Sika, we work with Lafarge, we work with Lanco, but we want to be independent in this as well, because it's a key to make sustainable and cheap solutions for our machines to be efficient for the customers.
Yeah, it's one of the intellectual property for your business, and also the software too. Did you have to develop a lot of custom software for your system?
All our softwares are homemade, so we have 4 programmers in house, and still looking for more. We also look forward to connect everything to the blockchain. I know it's quite a popular name, and but I do believe that our technology are the testifier for construction, and when you record it in the blockchain, it gives the better value to what has been printed. So the machine are like the oracle of the blockchain. And so I've been investing into blockchain technology for age, and I really like this idea, but we still have more to develop on this.
Yeah. If you've listened to some of the other podcasts, some people have brought up some Web 3.0 stuff, like selling NFT pictures of house designs and stuff. That stuff isn't so exciting to me, but I understand what you're talking about. It's about the blockchain technology and the data collection, using your own, maybe even your own nodes, to store the information from the print so that it's accessible at any point in time, right? It's about data.
Yeah, maybe I'm giving some infos to the competition, but let it be. When you can print a building, you have the value generated by the machines that prints the material things, so the wall. But you also have another value that took me quite a long time to see, is the certainty that it has been printed, where it is, with which material, with camera 360 degree, with all the data from the wind, from the temperature or the fluid speed and everything. So all this data has a much higher value even than the wall itself. And who can say that within the general construction and all technologies, no workers will want to have a GoPro on their chest and testify that they've been putting a bar each and every time. So the machine can do that and bring more safety to the construction world. And so we have to make it at least open to collect this data and try to decentralize it, because it's a very big power that should be decentralized, in my opinion. So this is what we are also working on the side on, but we don't have enough knowledge around blockchains to tell you, okay, this is the products. We are still working on it.
Yeah, I mean, for it to be truly decentralized, it would have to be open source. Every company's data could go to one place and everyone could benefit from understanding the material composition of the data locally. But the challenge is, like you're saying, you don't want to give your competitors an advantage. So there's like a network utility effect of like, how much are you getting out of it? How much are you benefiting your competitors? It's an
Yeah.
interesting concept. Tough to
But
get everybody in one page.
It will hook to regular blockchain technology with Ethereum or sub-layer of Bitcoin. But it will, you know, there are technologies, and my opinion is to use them for the greater good, not only to get richer and richer. When you solve problem, you get rich anyway. So I think I believe the lack of housing is a huge problem, and so there is really a goal in this company, Constructions-3D, that we try to share, and that we want to use the technology to give sure housing for everybody in the long run. But this will take like 5-10 more years. So I'm sorry, but I don't have a solution tomorrow morning for the poorest of the world today. We're really working on it to make it affordable, but it's not. I think you've made computation on your own that is quite expensive today. Just the system itself, and the ink, and the training, and the engineers that you need. So again, to make it like a solution for everyone, there are two main issues. Training, so make the resource available everywhere so it's easy to use, and so that means also the number of machines, and as well the material issue. So we are both working on those as a strategic path for Constructions-3D now, and yeah, I think we've done well in France, but we need to extend this worldwide. So we be there in Formnext to find partners worldwide. That is in November in Stuttgart, Frankfurt. Sorry. Also go to Dubai in the start of December for the Big Five. So this will be with partners, and we do have like a launching for this end of the year of the Maxi printer worldwide. So it's good that you catch us before, and hopefully we will stay the same after those events and keep the job running in an efficient way, and we can communicate more and more. And then in spring,
absolutely.
In spring next year, you'll see the result of this.
So I want to ask about, you mentioned you had some other construction experience in the traditional construction industry.
Correct.
Can you talk about that?
Well, I was an engineer after school, and I didn't know what to do. So I went to Bouygues Construction and then Vinci Construction for 3 and 5 years. So my role was basically to manage huge numbers of problem a day on the site. And so I really know where the problems are in the construction world. I experiment them myself, and after I created my companies, I want to go back in this world to help a bit.
Yeah, most of the problems are with the people.
Correct. And machines are in a way less friendly than people, but are giving less room for errors. And we are lacking the people anyway here in France. I guess in US it's quite the same. And so the painful job has to be done by the machines, and the people that we train from the original construction way of doing are very happy to find a machine to do these painful jobs. So I think it's always the same. The technology can scare, but when it's there, you're crazy. So 7 years ago, everybody says, what, you're gonna print house, you're crazy. Then you're dangerous because you're changing, disrupting the way things were. And then you're obvious. And then everybody say, yes, that's always what we've done. So it's like every disruption in the world, every innovators, every people who said, okay, the earth is wrong. Okay, you're crazy, then you're dangerous, so we kill you. And then everybody always said the same. The earth is wrong.
Yeah, I agree. The interesting thing about construction is the people, the culture of construction is different, at least in America. I imagine in France probably too. If you take a group of people who work in construction, they're probably a little bit tougher, a little bit more stubborn, maybe a little bit more mechanically inclined. They work with their hands. than the average population of people who these days sit at desks, work on computers most of the time. So bridging that gap is really challenging. And when I worked on job sites as a construction laborer, they don't want any cameras around ever because somebody might not have a helmet on. One thing is not tied up right. It's like very taboo to have cameras on construction sites.
Mhm. I agree on this. Same in France. But things are changing because the new generation of Mason are using tablets, are using their phones when they're not working. When they are in the bungalow, they are using their phones. So they definitely know the technology. And in France, I don't know if it's the same in US, but we usually put the kids that are not good in math, are not good in computers into this construction or areas because we say, okay, at least he will do something. But it's not the way they've been selected is always quite not what they have wanted to do. And then when we bring the machines, suddenly in the college, the kids have lights open, like their eyes are like, wow, it's gonna be cool. I'm gonna be a Mason 3D. That's much better than what I thought. And so we have to calm them down because it's not really available yet in the companies they're going. But we bring them some kind of hope that the job is more technical, less physical. And of course, there's still some physical activities. The machine is not doing everything. You have to work together with the machine. So it's more like a cobot than a robot. But we give them hope that it will be a bit more higher hand, more bigger value from their perspectives. So they want to be in. So of course you will always find the old guys that say, okay, I'm soon to be retired, so I don't want to learn. But really, I never experimented such. It's the best time for us to be available because everybody wants to try this.
Yeah, it's fun to be working with something that people get excited about. Just kind of naturally, people love automation. People love machines, the new robotics. As opposed to if you were making cranes or something, it would be maybe harder to find interns and stuff like that. So you have another company. I don't know if this Constructions-3D was born out of this other company or if they're separate, but Machine-3D, how do they relate?
Well, Maxi was the first company I built, so it's basically buy and sell machines from all over the world for the French and French-speaking areas. So we buy desktop 3D printers from US, from China, and we explain to the French market how it works. We help the customer to choose the 3D scanner as well, and then we do wholesaling. So we have like 250 resellers in France, and it was before the bigger company, but now that Constructions-3D sells machine, it's now Constructions-3D who gets bigger. So there are different companies. Some people jump, like Jessica jumps from Machine-3D to Constructions-3D when they get tired of the smaller machine or they fit better for the Constructions-3D. But yeah, it's different companies. We are in the same buildings. We share the knowledge on the smaller machines, and Constructions-3D basically buys the smaller machine from Machine-3D, and Machine-3D sometimes sells Constructions-3D products on the French market. But that's it. That's different. Machine-3D is not building the machines. Construction-3D is building the machines. So we are a manufacturer in Constructions-3D, which is quite different and ask more resources and a longer development than Machine-3D. So
yeah, that's two very different businesses. They might both be 3D printing, but manufacturing versus wholesaling. Is it your first experience with manufacturing?
Yes, it's just a matter of who you're gonna associate with and who are the people you need to complete your team. So indeed, for the manufacturing part, 3D printing is a good tool that helps us, but we also use CNC machine milling or all kind of injection or technology of manufacturing that are available. So I have different people for this in Constructions-3D that I don't have in Machines-3D.
what made you, having so much experience looking at other printers, identifying quality products to provide to people, what made you decide to build your own construction printer when it was such a new challenge for you?
Well, there was first it was like a joke, huh? um, in the first place, I usually say this as a storytelling in my startup conference, but
Sure.
when I printed the first parts with my son at home with a smaller machine, he told me, Papa, we can, with this machine, we just need to buy water and food. We can print anything else. So I was lucky enough to hear that boy at 7 years old. Now he's almost 16. And yes, indeed, we are going to print our house. The tower is including an apartment. We have our own buildings printed. And we print so much stuff. I mean, all around here is printed parts. You have Holy Antoine over there. You have my table is printed. Everything here around we try to print when we can. And so it was just my kid who realized that this technology, when it will grow and be mature enough, will be able to disrupt the industry as a whole. So we have the dental sector, we have the fab lab sectors, we have all the education, the industry production, pre-production. So we can see that 3D printing is disrupting from small quantities to bigger quantities. And so going back to my initial engineering work of construction was a bit logic. So when I heard the designer on a weekend in a show for medieval decors telling me about his ambition to make a machine to 3D print buildings, drinking a beer, I said, what? I am the engineer who has 3D printers at home and comes from construction. So I also thought about that. Tell me more. And then I met Gael Collaro, who is a Belgian designer. He always at my back to give me ideas. So he's not the one he's not one of my associates on this, but he's like the trigger when I met him that I said, this guy is telling me that something I could do and I wanted to do it. So why not try? And with my team of crazy guy here, we built a V0 machine out of CNC cuts and 3D print parts. And it's a small machine at my back, not so far from here. And this machine was never working, but it gives us the idea to continue and move forward. And the French government is quite sensitive and nice around innovation, and so we got some grants to try to push this idea, and so we did. And then year after year we were serious about it, and it from a joke it becomes something that is much more reality now, and sounds much more serious. Yeah.
Is it true that there's a law in France that you can have a maximum 35-hour work week?
This is every employee here is 35-hour a week.
Wow.
That seems crazy, I know, but well, when people are passionate, that the time in the office is not only they also think about it when they're at home, I believe. So when they come on the Monday, they're very efficient.
Yeah, I mean, besides surgeons and some bankers, most jobs people could probably do their 8-hour day in 4 hours if they were allowed to leave early or something. So it makes some sense that you could kind of like condense your efforts. But so if it's 35 hours, people spend a lot of time with their families and enjoying the arts and things, or do they have a second job usually?
No, I don't think you can work more than 45 hours with
Wow.
2 jobs. So normal time is indeed 35-hour a week. So that is 7 hours a day. But I don't believe this is much of a problem because, yeah, you should have time for your family, time for sleep, and time for work. So I don't know who great guy said that you should not give more than a third of your life to an employers, because if not you become a slave, and I do believe this is true.
Yeah.
So I always like my employees to not overtime, because they can be more efficient and be able to develop their own ideas if they have. So
Yeah, I like that. So as a business owner, it's a little different. or
again,
no?
if you're short term, indeed, you will want people to work out everything they have for
No,
you.
no, I mean for you yourself. Like, are you able to work 35 hours as well?
For myself. uh yeah, I learn with the construction guys, so I mean I wake up super early. I do most of my journey from 5 to 8, and after I just have fun with people when they arrive.
Hmm.
So this is indeed I choose to work more, but my wife is together with me in this journey. We have 3 kids. Some are already interested into it, so we are there for the long journey. So we should not burn ourselves by craving for immediate short-term results. It's a long journey.
Yeah. Legally speaking, is a business owner allowed to work more hours, or is it the same
Of
rule?
course, and you
Yeah.
have no advantage whatsoever to if you fail, or if yeah, we are the modern slave.
Yeah, it's just different. I'm trying to understand, but
Yeah,
it's
yeah,
very
yeah.
nice.
There is no protection for us. Thanks for your concern.
Your son who's 16, is he now, and your other kids, they're learning about 3D printed construction, and or are they interested in other things?
Yeah, the first one is more into arts and is now doing piano with the 3D printed parts.
Cool.
Uh, but so he's into programming and computer stuff. And the other one are younger, so I believe I let them do what they want.
Sure. Do they ever check out the office and use some of the printers and stuff you have
They
around?
live by here, so today is vacation, so they stayed at home. But we technically we sleep weekdays in the citadel, so we have kids all around most of the time.
Well, it's great for them to have access to so many resources that they can learn with, and anything they want to print one day, they can just go ahead and print and experiment. It's very nice. So
Correct,
the
but they are not Jared kind. So if you would be my son, then you may be very happy to use everything. But if you are given everything at the start, then you would not really
oh,
be happy about it.
if I was your son, I would say my dad does 3D printing. I don't want to do that. I'll do something else.
See, that's it, that's it.
It's hard
So
to think your parents' job is cool.
exactly.
But what's next for Constructions-3D? You've got the Maxi printer out now. You've got the other 2 printer models. Are there other printer models in development? Are you working on scaling up for, globally?
Yes. So now, so you didn't mention we also have a measuring device that can be very useful for 3D printers in construction. So even for our competition, we have made a device that's measuring the strength of a material over the time. So that's very helpful if you want to make sure that your prints are strong enough to carry the next layer and it won't fall on you. So this device is now available in 3 languages: French, English, and German. And I think it's a must add-on to for safety on the field. And whatever material you're using, you need this data, and make sure that locally, with the temperature you have on the site, with the humidity that you have, with the storage condition that you've kept your dry mortar on site, then I think it's a very much needed step. So we are working on this. Or we finished these products as well, and also we try to build the regulation side of it of things, like for the fire and for the strengths. So we do that with partnerships, and we do that with our early adopters. So our first customers are facing regulation issues, of course, and so we try to give them support to use the machine better and to be able to bring their cases properly through their local regulations.
Do you have any advice for people who are maybe considering buying one of your printers, but they want to make sure they can get the permits first?
Well, that's not early adopters. So this is the next step. So for now, we have businesses, people that are either doing marketing, who wants to be the first, people who are having crazy idea with the technology, not printing houses, but more like making whatever fireproof, whatever. So using the technology for a specific niche market.
Sure.
So this is also a customer I can think about. And like it was public, so I can talk about it. We got the #1 data center in France and worldwide, competing with Google. That is name is OVH in France. They are not so far, and they bought our machines because they want to make R&D to print their own servers. So they're the house where they put their computers to make the calculation or the hosting of websites. So it needs to be fireproof, and they like the technology because it can be deployed inside buildings, and it's not as dirty as the traditional techniques, and they need not much dust, and they need to master their cost, they need to master the time. So the technology that we bring can help them. So those are specific use. So like when you see people printing coral reef or benches, like arts, stuff like this. So these are used where they are not doing the main housing, they are doing small detailed parts or specific case. So this is the early adopters that we are helping now. And then of course, you have Dubai. Dubai is different place. They have a policy that's very attractive for 3D printers of the world. So this is also another type of customer.
Is there anything deeper than the policy in terms of like they have the headline, they want 25% of buildings by 2030 to be printed or something like that, or maybe it was 30% by 2025. But is that initiative being backed by money or effort or something, or is it just to attract the companies there?
I do believe they really have a vision on this, and that they really want, at least for the municipality. I talked to them last week. I think they are really willing to change the way things are being done, and they are like the François Ier of our time, the people who are willing to put money for this new way of doing things. So it's quite interesting for us, but we were not ready before because they wanted us to be used as a service, and we are not a service provider. We cannot print a building for them because we have our own building to print. And so we needed a partner that was in the long term, in the long journey in Dubai. And that's what we found out in January, February of this year. And what is great with this partner is that investing a lot to train the authorities, to train kids and architects, so they will understand what it takes to 3D print a building and how things have to be done on a long journey. So it's not a one-shot guy. It's not one project that will leave the machine in front and won't move forever. It's to make the Dubai people be the one acting for their own buildings. So this is what I like about it. And so we'll tell more on Big 5 show. This is 5 to 9 December in Dubai. So if you have time and want to pass by, it would be my pleasure to, I don't know if we can drink a beer together, but of course we can in Dubai.
Yeah, if I make it to Dubai, we definitely can. I'm not sure, we'll see, but I'd love to. Big 5 is a big event. Dubai is a big initiative. I mean, there aren't many companies that have printed more than one building in Dubai. A lot of them go there, they print one, like you said, maybe they leave the printer out front like a decoration. The majority of them haven't printed. That's why I asked, like, it's great to hear you've talked to their leadership recently in Dubai and they're still excited about 3D printed construction.
They told me there have been 7 buildings printed in Dubai. So this is huge compared to France, but this is very small compared to their wishes. So the money is not their problem really, but it's really more the knowledge and the massification of production, not taking them for one case, but to try to build something around there. So we are considering about building a factory over there. at least a service center. So this is what's on the pipe for Constructions-3D, to answer your question, for the Middle East. And then I think this market is the most exciting one compared to other countries that have been more conservative about it. But it's not stopping us from opening new branches on other continents. And so what we have to do now is to deploy the maximum Maxi printer we can in the shortest time as possible. Now that the factory is ready, we have to make one machine a month, then one machine every 2 weeks, and then one machine a week. And then we can hope to have hundreds of tools. And then we have hundreds of feedbacks, hundreds of problems. And those problems makes the better generation and makes the technology more available for everyone. So it will be more useful, and with more machines, more projects, more videos for you.
Yeah, it's definitely growing quickly on a lot of fronts. The scale, like the companies who are making, they had one printer before, are now doing multiple. And did you consider ever using a robotic arm?
Well, the question was how I can go outside to print a building and have a team of 2 person pilot it and make sure that it's calibrated and open out of a container box within 1 hour. So I didn't consider robotic arms because of the electrical motors that are usually not made to go outside. Just try to freeze them or put them at 40 degrees and see how your precision is going. So hydraulic is a much better way to when you see cranes or Caterpillar machine, they're all hydraulics.
That
Why?
makes a lot of sense.
Because those hydraulics machines are much more robust for climate change, and also people from the fields are not sometimes very much careful about things. They are not geek. They are not. So hydraulic machines are able to be repaired quite easily by locals, and they also let's say when there is a leak, you can see it right away. So we try to make this hydraulic precision machine, which is not really easy. Hydraulic machines are not precise, so the trigger for us was to make a precision machine from hydraulics. So this is our know-how. This is where we work the most to avoid vibration modes, to avoid lack of precision due to the hydraulic. So we that's why it took us a long time. But now that we have an hydraulic machine of precision that can go outside, I think it's definitely the best way to deploy worldwide. And the container-based solution is also very important for us. So everything should fit in a 20-foot container. We are around a river here, so we can ship the container directly to Antwerp Harbor, and then it goes worldwide. And this is also very important because inside the box, you have everything you need to print, and you can pack it back, and the box is following you when you carry around the box. So I didn't want something too huge that won't fit a container, because I know that the way of building buildings, at least in France, is with container, and then you bring everything you need from locals. So if you need a machine, it should at least fit a container.
Yeah, and I think they should all be weatherproof too. People just leave construction equipment outside. It's not something people are used to considering. And to make such a big change in like a paradigm shift, it needs to conform as much as possible to traditional stuff so that people can figure out how it works and not break stuff.
Well, you should be able to leave it outside for a big rain and still carry on your journey the next day, indeed. And if not, then you should be able to pack up within less than 1 hour. And so you don't eat up your whole day or a week to pack or unpack.
How has your experience been with the mixer pump systems?
Well, we do work with two familiar pump systems that you know about. So the German MTech and the Austrian Mai. We do modify those two brands because we want them perfectly fitted for our machines.
Everybody modifies them because they're not good enough off the shelf.
Correct. We do have them working here to improve their machines.
That's
So,
very good.
but I'm happy now that we have two players within this market as well, because I don't like monopoly.
Yeah.
And if you have any other ideas from pump providers, we are welcome to listen. We have other customer looking at other brands as well. So I think it's important to have a diversity of pump for diversity of cases. Just like our solution might not fit all. So
Yeah, I mean, the pumps right now, just like a lot of other things, there's a lot of room for improvements. And so the most important thing in a team that's going to provide a pump, I would say, is somebody that's willing to like work with your company. Different printers will be different. And so it's not just a product they can sell in a box and say, get going. I mean, they are doing it that way, but what they should do is send someone out there. Like, I guess you said, they are sending people out, learn everything they can do to make it work out of the box for people, make it work so that it's just press go. It's such a challenging part of the printing process that causes so many issues.
yes, exactly. So we welcome them. We train them as well. We try to make them realize this market. I think those two brands that I've been talking about have realized it, so they are investing heavily on it. Though the crisis worldwide is not very easy to change a production level from 1 to 100. So they have difficulties to deliver, but I think it's in every sectors now.
It's like a chicken or the egg thing where like if they made the perfect pump, it could really
Yes.
scale the industry up very fast and
Yes.
sell a lot of them, but who knows? The
But
material you're
we
using.
are very happy with those brands. I mean, from the start it was hard because we had to hack their pump and make a lot of heavy modification on them. I remember buying myself a Putzmeister that in the end finished in a college. I saw it last time when I visited the college, and they were still printing with the mini Edu with this pump that I completely forgot. And I said, "Oh man, they are very courageous to try to print with this."
It's like
And
Iron Man's Mach 1 suit.
yeah. And so the future of this is that the pump manufacturer will indeed deploy more energy, more range of machines, depending the printer after. But we also see that there might be not a dry mix solution ongoing, but also wet mix solution ongoing. So we are opening ourselves also to do this. It's not this, it implies more bigger grain size, so
Aggregate.
concrete more than mortar. So if we want to go cheaper, that's not too inconsiderate. But it's not an easy solution in a way that the concrete have a time frame that's different. You cannot hope for long 20-hour prints without segregation of the aggregates. So the pump can clog more easily. And I think that's the problem that people using concrete are now facing most of the time.
Yeah, then they have to take the sledgehammers out and beat the hose with the sledgehammer.
Yeah, I was kind of lazy, so that's why we went to the dry mortar one more.
Oh, that happens with the dry mortars too. I was actually just referring to the hoses in general, but the wet mortar, we were talking about ways to conform to traditional construction. Wet mortar is the way that people get concrete delivered normally.
Yeah, I do think when you do drastic and big modifications like what we are bringing to the construction world, sometimes you also have to change the material side of it. So
yeah, definitely.
If you have to stick to the C2530 that they are giving, okay, you're having a point on the material side, but you get so much trouble on the other side, on the site, on the mechanics, and are you really helping yourself? I'm not so sure. So in the end, I don't know if you know this study from Smart Tech Publishing before, that was trying to give a revenue share on material and machines and application over the next 10 years until 2027. Did you see that?
No.
That was very interesting for me because it showed that the material side seems to be the number one topic to look at. And in fact, in this study, it shows it's just 1% of the revenue in the end. So I'm much more into letting the players like Lafarge, Sika, and all provide me a better mix. That's what we take from them, and try to be independent from them in some ways, not to be completely out of this. But I think the huge market in the future is not really, even the machines are just 10% in this study, and 90%, so less than 1% for the material, 10% for the hardware, and then 89% of the revenue is to be made in the application of the technology. So how we will integrate sensors in the prints, how we will integrate the insulation, which we have done a lot of work on now with our local flax from linen. In north of France, we have these flax available at large scale. So we insulate our building with local flax from linen straw. So this is very, very much more fruitful, I think, in the future to work on how to use the technology connected to blockchain, how to bring more comfort, more integration in the space than just looking at the material. It's like selling know-how and selling resource. When you sell resource, you don't have it anymore at the end of the day. When you sell know-how, you still have it the next day.
Yeah, that's true. The material still, though, like you mentioned, it's 1% of the cost, but it's 100% of what's left over at the end of the project. So the printer goes away, the people go away, but the house is there with the material that it was built with, hopefully for 100 years. So I think it's a very, very important part. And even though it's maybe 1% of the profit, currently material is a huge percentage of the cost for people to 3D print a building. So
I do agree. That's why I'm working on this local formula to divide the cost by 3 and to have the carbon cost divided by 3 as well. So this is strategic. But once you've got this right, then okay, what are you gonna optimize? So I agree on you on the short term, but on the longer term, the
everything needs to be optimized.
The research that is worth carrying on is how do you connect the file that has been printed to control the production, to make sure that the BIM, the building information modeling that have been in the cloud and not so used for years, now is really being used to make a production. Make sure that the machine is making you the feedback. So let's say you want to buy a house that's 3D printed, correct? I am printing it for you, so you can buy the house while it's being printed. Blockchain technology can bring that trust between people and make sure that you have the result directly from the machines that will make you pay at the scale of its growth. So of course that's theoretical, but it's completely 100% feasible today. So when the machine prints, if it's 50%, then 50% of your money is being taken over the machine and ready to be given when the printer will say finish. So you can create relationships. You can create more comfort within the prints for the user in the long run. Put sensors in the wall, put cablings that will hit the wall, so you will save space on your heater system. You can create so much things around this idea that the wall is being printed gradually, that you can integrate so much technology inside that it's better we're spend our time on this than on the material side of things that is already almost covered.
Yeah, the blockchain thing, this is just kind of spitballing, but it seems to me maybe the best way to do that would have some kind of central funding where like some research funding, and that funds the blockchain tech so that if people give their data, like let's say they sign their printer up to be in the blockchain, then as they send info to the public chain, they get back some kind of like crypto coin or whatever signifier of value to reward them for their data sharing or something. I don't, maybe, who knows, but
blockchain is now obvious for financing indeed, but what I'm telling you is blockchain is not only changing finance. It's like helping 3D printing to have a record of trust.
it's data.
That yes, to record the data and make sure it's trustworthy until let's say if we print a wall. Let's take some example, but it's always the better way to explain how the technology can help. But
Sure.
If you 3D print a wall and inside this wall you put a sensor that will give a name to this wall and a state. Let's say this wall is wall 44 and next door is 43 and then next is 42. So let's focus on 44. And on this sensor that you integrate within the prints, when the machine has been finishing the wall, the machine can automatically state to this sensor that it's printed.
So here's to challenge your idea. What if it's not a good print?
Well, the machine should have stopped before, and the control of production should be within the printer. But let's imagine this is a correct print. So
that's a big assumption.
Yeah, correct. But wall 44 now is publicly known as being printed. So it exists. We know where it is. So we have the cadastral position of this wall. So you can connect this to the country cadastral saying this wall exists. You can also call a painter because it's needing a painter to be painted. So all this organization of production will be possible when you have machines that are testifying what's happening. And I don't know if you follow me there, but
no, I do. And the biggest challenge is getting the data, because in traditional construction, nobody wants to record that data. They don't have time to do, they're screwing stuff in, they're hammering stuff. They do not want to have an Excel sheet. They don't want to have a tablet. So if it's automatically being collected by the machine, that's the only way you'll have access to getting that information.
Yeah. And I remember making fake data all over my journey to say, okay, we've done things correct. Let's check. And is that control of production? No. So in the industry, in the car industry, in the plane industry, they have control of production. That means they are checking what was planned and what has been done. And this they are checking with 3D scanner. We see that every day. We are matching the theoretical to the real and seeing how far we are from the original model. In construction, we say, oh, we are perfect. We are far from.
Never is.
Yeah. So the machine is really the first step of automation in construction for the concrete. But after this machine, more machine will come to automate how we can integrate, and we are doing that, the windows inside the building. How we can automate the painting after this. We have a company around doing this. How things will automate after. So how the insulation can be added automatically. How things can be automated in the whole process of things. So it looks scary in some ways. And that's why I like to hope that it will be decentralized. But if you can think about this sensor we left in wall 44, when the building is being rented, you can still use this sensor to say, okay, the wall has been dirtied by the renters, or the wall is clean, so we can give it to another renter. And even when you will destroy the wall, you can destroy the sensor. So this is like giving life to the building information modeling as a use case in real life. So this is why our machines are open to give the data out providing that people know what to do with it.
Yeah, people won't know what to do with it for a long time, but if you're collecting the data, then you'll have a whole mountain of data, and it'll be something that is, like you said, maybe more valuable than the things that are printed eventually. It's very cool.
Mark my word.
So
So
do you have
just to
many
go back to
prints?
the real life nowadays, machines are ready for being used by early adopters, at least the Maxi printer. The Mini Pro is very efficient if you want to print offices or coral reef or strange, weird parts in concrete. So we have professional customers using it now. And also, of course, schools for iteration and for training. Mini printer education is a bit our initial project, so it's a bit less being sold now. But and the constructimeter is very needed, even if you have our other technology than ours, so you know what you're doing with the material.
Yeah, I'm looking at the constructimeter. You put the dry or the wet material, you put the wet material in, or the cured
Yes.
material?
Correct. So you have a little cup in metal that you put your fresh material inside,
Fresh,
and
okay.
then you can measure every 15 minutes or so, and it rotates
Oh.
to get the strength of this material at the time.
Wow. So you get buildability over time.
Yes.
Beautiful.
So it brings you a curve that gives you the certainty that if you print 1 meter per hour or 1 meter in 30 minutes, it will still be okay. So the bottom layer will be strong enough to carry over.
Yeah, automation is required in every, like, I'm a little more generous maybe in my idea of automation than you. I think the screwdriver was automation in construction when they invented the electric screwdriver because they didn't have to drill by hand anymore. So like you're automating the activity of measurements, as a person would have to take those measurements at regular intervals, make sure it's 15 minutes.
Yeah.
But this system is going to remove the need for that person to consistently be there.
Yeah, the only competitor products we found out for these machines was indeed not automated. So you need to put a clock and go every 15 minutes. And that device alone was 4 times more expensive than our selling price. And
Wow.
because all the norms and certification around, and they don't sell a lot of them. But as we consider of having hundreds or thousands of those worldwide, so we need to make it cheaper, more available, and more convenient for people to really use them. If not, they're gonna just use it one time and say, okay, I got it. So yeah, that was the whole idea, to automate better.
Yeah, that's a great product. That's a great product.
Thank you.
Is 3D printed construction your life's mission for the future? Are you going to continue this business for a very long time, or are there other things you might one day, let's say it's $1 billion company, are you still running it every day, or are you searching for a new project?
My target in life is to bring this really available for the people of the world. So I'm on the long journey on this. My wife is from the Philippines, so I was 17-year-old in the slums of Manila. And I do remember a kid of 5-year-old who died in a week after I saw him, because he doesn't have a proper shed over his head. So I owe him a dedication on this. I hope I will still be the one needed for this company. So what happened is sometimes you're not good enough. So if ever that's the case, I shall go. But my mission is really to make sure this company grows steadily, because it's a long journey. It's not a 100% race every month. And no. It's already 7 years working on this. And I do believe we still need 10, 20 more years to become obvious.
Yeah, I think that's a good estimate and a reasonable time frame to do a lot of technology improvement. And at that point, it could be like, why would anyone build a house by hand anymore?
Yeah. I technically don't buy house anymore by hand. I do print them, but
Yeah.
that's only me. So let's make it common now.
Cool.
Maybe you can also say this, because you are also using a lot of machines.
How
Do you plan to print a house for yourself, Jared?
Um, maybe one day, but I like being able to look at all the companies objectively. To print one house, I would have to choose only one company, and that kind of like makes it look less fair, I guess. I don't know, maybe someday in some form, but in the meantime, if somebody wants to buy that Constructimeter or contact you to get more information about the printer, how do they reach out to you?
Well, they can just go to, like you did, our website, constructions-3d.com with an S and -3d.com.
Link in the description.
Thank you. And contact us through the formula. We have Theo or Thomas that will reply as soon as they can. And yeah, we're not really open for consumer. Don't try to call us for printing a house here and there. I keep on saying no to many of my friends. So this is not even for you, Jared. I would have to say no. But hopefully we have distributor users that will be nearer than us, and that will be helpful for you in the shorter or longer term, depending where you are located. I think there is room for more competition, so I'm really open to make like you do conference with other companies, because just like Henry Ford and Rolls-Royce at the time on the early days of cars industry, we better shook hands and develop things and copy from each other and make the technology more available, because definitely if there are barriers, consumer won't be able to realize how disruptive it is, and they won't enjoy it, and then we won't sell machines. So we really have to improve as a new family. So you're like our papas to make peace all around.
Well, if I can just get people to communicate a little bit more, then that would be
That
enough
would
for
be
me.
great. That would be great.
It's a unique position I'm in to be able to talk to different companies without being a competitor to them in any way. I'd love to do a conference one day with like 100 or 200 companies, with like all the print operators one day, and then people who are making the printers another day, and have the whole industry together. But I think that's something that'll maybe a year from now or something. What do you think about that in terms of, should it be a smaller group of like the top 5, top 10, top 20, or should it be like there's 300 companies operating or buying or selling printers around? So I kind of feel like they should all be included.
Just leave it open to people who are listening to you, and whoever wants to join. And if everybody respect the time and give a clear view and not try to oversell his machines, I think it's the good way to go. Later on, we will be able to filter when we really see things clearer. But I think for now, nobody knows what's the best 3D printers of the world.
Yeah,
I do believe it's mine, but who knows?
Yeah, I appreciate you're not overselling your machine. Like you're very authentic the way that you talk about it. Maybe it's because you haven't been talking to too many investors trying to raise money, so you're not really trying to impress anybody. But what you're saying is a real problem. There is people who are overselling their equipment. I don't know how I could stop them. If I give them 5 minutes on a conference, they're going to say we're the best. But if you have 10 different people saying that back to back, maybe it's not so impactful.
Yeah. I think you would be fair enough to bring up the solution that marked you and that contacted you. So just try, and it won't be perfect, but it will always be a success if we can talk to each other and realize that what is really important in this journey.
Now that we're just kind of like talking about it, thinking about it, if we made a rule, like you can't say you're the best in general, you have to say what you're the best at, and you have to give the numbers too. You can't just like, we have the strongest material. Okay, how strong is your material? We have the fastest print. Okay, how fast the print? And you can't just say it. You need the blockchain with the cameras so that you know it was printed in however much time over however many days. And yeah, it's hard to get true information.
Mhm. That is why it's very great when you take the time to check the example that have been done, so you can unwind different things and make people realize it's not that easy.
Mhm.
And yeah, so we don't get called because we make magics. We're not magicians. We try to make technology. So there's nothing better than that looks more like magic than a good technology. But we're
Yeah.
not yet good technology. So. Yeah, if I may, I want to give a tribute to the first guy who ever 3D printed buildings, at least in my opinion. I know it won't be well taken by Beroko Snivitz, who pretend he is, but I usually like to talk to people who comes to me about this guy, Nader Khalili. He's the inventor of sandbag shelter. And this is to me the first guy who ever tried to do what we are doing now. So to print layer by layer. This is made out of clay, and this was an innovation back in the 80s. And he died in 2008, and he did a lot of buildings with vault shapes, and he understood most of the constraints on how to build layer by layer and using clay and building like nature. So these
Very
are
cool.
the three pillars that I want to continue in this journey. And what's funny is that the wife of Nader is still alive in UK, Ilyona. If she hears this, she's a very great person, and she is telling me that Bero Kosnevich visited Nader Khalili to understand how he's building, and that's from his idea that he tried to do 3D printing. So
Oh,
I don't
fascinating.
really I do have a testifier that this happened, and it's funny now that Baroque and Winston are fighting. I don't know if it's still ongoing, this, but they are both not the first people who ever thought about 3D printing. This is more Nader's job that brought it alive.
Did he use
And
STL files?
no, he tried to automate at the end of his life by looking for pumps, and he went to see Putzmeister and tried to automate this whole work, because today this is still being built by hand. 10 people, 10 days, you make one vault, one house, and this is very painful job. So he didn't make any machines, so that's why he's not being remembered.
Sure.
But
Have you
yeah.
heard of the Urschel wall building machine?
I was gonna tell you this, so this is even before.
Yeah,
So
the 1940s
we keep
or
on
30s.
showing the video here, because how unbelievable is it that people were doing this and even filming it with the tractors going out with the
With a
dance
good
at
sense
the
of
end.
humor too. Yeah.
Yes. Our team is quite the same. So I very like those guys. And this company still exists and now is doing some machines.
Kitchen stuff.
Yeah. So this was a good start, I think, for companies. They were just too ahead of their time, and it's not an hazard that they're still alive today. So
Yeah, I really badly want to try to find that building, but I don't think it's standing.
if you can, that's amazing. New that's something very crazy that I would like to know as well, if it's still there. Correct. And even before, if you want to go backward, even before, this is another book. This is made in Africa and it's built of clay. And
Wow, very detailed.
these are the first time people stop walking, going around after animals, and start building houses. So this is in Mali, in Africa, and the first housing and first villages were like this, not square,
Wow.
all round. Why? Because the clay won't hold that well with square buildings. And from the little pot, I don't know if you can see here.
I can see the pictures.
Yes, so when you start to have agricultural land, you have crops and you need to keep them safe from the rats, and you need to stay on a place. So you discover pottery, clay, and then you do it like in the kindergarten. You roll the clay and then you make layer by layer and then you put it in the oven. So this is just a technology that is so good, because it's 1 million year of research, because mankind took a lot of time to find this out. And if it survived and if it created the cities that I showed you and it became the city of now, it's valid research. So let's not forget those guys. Of course, nobody wants to have a clay house that looks muddy like in Africa, blah, blah, blah. But we can use the technology to make this look much more modern. And we can maybe conclude with this. When Lucas make Tatooine planets look like what we can see in the Star Wars 4, it was in the future, right? Not in the past.
Yeah, interesting point. I'm not a huge Star Wars fan, but I think the planets are at different levels of civilization.
Yes, but it's still in the future. It's not the best looking planets with
I like
everything.
the idea of Adobe and Earthen structures, and making them look normal, like you said, is like the important part of making them people actually want to live in them.
We won't have choice, Jared, because cement and sand are lacking and are not available in the big quantities for every one of us. So either you accept to have 1/4 of humanity having no house, which is the case by 2030, 10 billion people, 2.5 billion people having no proper house. Either you accept this, so 1 out of 4, so we're already 2 with just that's 3, so 1 of us is almost having no house. So this is really our mission to make this change, and this technology can really bring this solution. So yeah, let's make it happen. Let's not dream of it too much in the early stage, but this is going.
Yeah, the one thing we didn't touch on that I want to get to before we head off, the customizability that printing offers. If to make it just the cheapest construction method, you could probably do 1,000 of the same unit or whatever. But 3D printing and your technology offers people to have unique structures. Is that something important to you?
Sure. The fact that if you want to make cheap housing, it's really available. It's called the mobile home. It's made in factory. I have one here where I sleep with my kid weekdays, and I paid 25,000, and I have 3 rooms, and it's much cheaper than anything you could print.
Wow, 3 rooms for 25,000. That's crazy.
Yes, 50 square meter, 3 rooms. It's enough for a family. It's not the best comfort. If it's very sunny, you might die of hot inside or need climatization. So same in the Philippines, I saw thousands of house, super square, super packed all together, but nobody wants to live in. Why? Because there's no community, there is no service, there is no school, no library, no. It has not been thought like for you or for me. So if you can personalize, if you can give people a community feelings, like in the first age when the Dogon in Mali started to make their house, they make a round house, then the kids make a house and hook to the parents' house and then make a community together. Then they can create the landscape, they can 3D print everything else than the house, including the barbecue to eat together, including the landscape, including the school, including. So it's a matter of building communities with the difference of ethnical, cultural, religious. There are so many. So there is not one solution fits all. You might not like the tower I am printing for myself, and you might print a house that I won't even want to live in. So let's give this tool available for people worldwide to make what they think is better for them, and let's not impose. So the way 3D printing is making it able to personalize from one to another is perfect, because you can open creativity and we will be surprised by the way people are going to use it, and it will be for the best or for the worst.
Awesome. That was excellent. Thank you. I think it's a good place to leave off. And Jessica, I appreciate you coordinating this with us today.
Hi.
Thank you, Jessica.
Thank you. You're welcome.
Is anything left unsaid?
Well, again, you're welcome to visit all this, and we have
will.
videos if you want to illustrate this talk. So we won't see too much of our faces and more.
Well, the podcast is unedited, but I'll do a separate video that people can reference while they watch the podcast.
Okay, great. Thank you, Jared.
Yeah, thank you again. And we'll be in touch whenever you guys have projects or anything going on, open line of communication, just let me know. I'm always happy to share awesome projects people are doing around the world.
Next week we print a part of tower, but it will be very much to be seen in 2-3 months from now. So
no rush.
You'll be
Thanks
the first
again.
to get our video. Thank you.
All right, later on.
Bye-bye.